Hi there, it's Dr. Bernstein, and in this video I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Nathaniel Hawthorne, who was born in 1804 and died in 1864. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the cultural, historical context within which he was working, and then give you a little information on The Artist of the Beautiful, which is the short story we're reading for our class, and that was published in 1846. So most people know Hawthorne as the author of The Scarlet Letter, which is a novel that was published in 1850, so 4 years after The Artist of the Beautiful. And it deals with this character, Hester Prynne, who wears the scarlet A because she's known as an adulteress. She's just getting out of prison, and the story is really about this marginalized woman who deals with the consequences of her actions and sort of works her way partially works her way back into society, and how society responds to her. And this novel was set in the Puritan past, in the 17th century, even though Hawthorne was writing in the 19th century. And this is significant because the Scarlet Letter was published in 1850, as I said, at the very beginning of what's known as the American Renaissance. The American Renaissance lasted about 5 years, from 1850 to 1855. And it's not a renaissance in the way we usually think about it. Renaissance meaning rebirth. It was really the first outpouring of American literature. And this is pretty amazing. Within 5 years, major American works, a bunch of them were all published. And I'm just going to mention a few of them. Okay, so we have Hawthorne's The Artist of the Beautiful, Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, as well as a couple other novels by Hawthorne. We have Herman Melville's Moby Dick, Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, Henry David Thoreau's Walden, and with the first edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. So within 5 years, this is really amazing. These canonical American works are coming out all within this time period. And it really wasn't until about 60 years after declaring independence, like in the 1830s, before the American Renaissance, that American writers and thinkers really started to become very self-consciously aware of and interested in developing distinctly American forms of literary expression. So it's like there's the break from England, there's the break from the Declaration of Independence, our separation, and then it takes time to figure out, okay, now who are we? What is a literature that's appropriate for our American culture? And one of the ways that Hawthorne participated in this was by going back into the Puritan past, setting a lot of his works in the 17th century, in the past, in the New England past that's associated with America. So that's one way he contributed. It's like, okay, well, one way to develop an American literature is to set our works in America. And to grapple with things in our own past. So that's one of the things that he's doing in The Scarlet Letter. In fact, some of his characters are loosely based on real life people. Now, I'm not going to go into too many details about the American Renaissance, but I just want to point out that sometimes it's really helpful to understand where the work itself fits within the larger cultural context. So as I said before, I really don't want you to be reading secondary sources or about the literature itself, or reading summaries of it and where they are. I don't want you to read those, because I want you to learn how to figure out how to read them yourselves. But sometimes you can look at other sources to learn about what was going on during that time period. That can be very helpful. And sometimes your professors will give you that information. But say you're reading a novel on your own, not related to school, that's one thing that you could do to help understand the significance of what you're reading. And of course, I really think there's also great value to just allowing yourself to plunge into what you're reading and to not worry about the cultural context at all, at least at first. So there's a real value to that as well. But knowing about the cultural and the historical context can help you do more than just read the words on the page. Just like knowing about characterization and theme and plot. If you know about those conventions, then when you're reading any work of fiction, or really, watching any movie or TV show, you can think about, oh, how are these characters being developed? Is that a flat character? Is that a round character? Does the plot follow the traditional arc, the Freytag pyramid? Why not? Well, how does this work relate to its time period? That's definitely another question to add to the mix. Now, I want to go back to Hawthorne and the Artist of Beautiful, which you're reading for our class. You're going to notice something. I don't think that there's any mention of when the story takes place or where it takes place. So sometimes if you're really trying to take your reading skills to the next level, is to think about, and this is true for fiction as well as for nonfiction, when you're listening to the news, when you're listening to people's interpretations of events, not just what is being said, but what's not being said. And so with this absence of information about where the story's taking place or what time period it's taking place in, you can think about, well, why? Like, what sort of message is the story sending by not telling us this? It could be that the story is sending us a message about, this universal issue that artists face. That's something definitely worth pursuing. And as an early scholar of early American literature, I can tell you that when Hawthorne is writing this story, it's a time period of increasing industrialization in his society. And you'll see that one of the things that we get with the characters in the story are that they really value the practical, the useful. And there's a lot of stuff about machinery. And they, just like the Puritans, these characters are really ambivalent about the creative, about things that don't seem to be immediately useful. So you can think about those tensions between the artist, Owen, and the other characters. Like, what do they value? What do they represent? How do they view the artist and his creations? And think about what the other characters seem to value themselves. So you can just take that little absence of information and turn it into something that can really help you start delving into the larger significance of a story. I'm just going to wrap things up right now. Read the story. Try to utilize what you've learned from this video as well as what you've learned from your readings on theme, plot, characterization, and try to apply it, but don't worry. Let yourself read the story. Let yourself try to figure out what's going on, what it might mean, and put some things into practice, see where you're struggling, ask questions on our D2L site, and we will work through it. So don't worry if you're confused. But I think you'll probably understand and get a lot more than you might think. So that's it for now. I'll see you soon. Bye.